Hey guys, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Taking flight today in the Cessna Citation jet on the east coast of Brazil from São Paulo to Rio de Janeiro. Now, one region of the world I've had a lot of requests for was the South American continent, and in particular, quite a few people asked me to fly through Brazil. So I thought I'd pick an aircraft I've not yet featured on this channel, and find routes that has a fair bit of private traffic, and thought that this one would certainly tick all the boxes. So we'll start the aircraft from conduct, we'll set it all up, send it on the flight, and then see how that one goes. So without further ado, let's get into the cockpit and start setting things up. So, before we start, I will say that I am using SimBrief for all of my flight planning today. So I've used SimBrief for the waypoints, the altitude calculations, all of that stuff. And so it is a very good tool if you're looking for your flight sim config. At some point I will do a dedicated video on showing you how to use it and how you can use the information it provides you in the actual flight simulator itself. So SimBrief today I'm using, but the full setup will be done on another day. Right, first things first, let's turn on the battery, turn on the avionics, and while all of that is warming up, let's just have a moment to look around and see what's going on around us. There's an A320 over there, looks like it's currently in storage. A few aircraft in distance, both of them private. Was one, both of them prop actually. One's a Malibu, the other one is a BAE of some sorts. If I have a look behind us, that's the main commercial terminal. There's an A320 in stand there, there's an A380 and an A320 or a 30, I think that's a 30 over there. As I said, I have another 30 just peeking behind it. So, I don't there's another one there as well, another 320. So there's quite a few aircraft currently here at São Paulo. So it's quite a busy airport, and one of the main ones in the country, because São Paulo is the biggest city in terms of population here in Brazil. And so quite a few businesses do operate in and out of it. Right, clear the master caution. Let's pop down to the FMS. Well, actually, before we do that, there's some navigation lights. We shan't see anything else just yet. So beacon and strobes will wait until the engines come on. The pulse lights will wait until the aircraft is ready for departure. The rest of it we'll do with later. And likewise, middle of the day, so no need for logo lights. Now, FMS Operation. In the Citation Jet 4, it's actually rather decent. Not perfect, don't get me wrong, but in terms of actual functionality, it does calculate VNAVs, which is very nice, and it just lets you customize a bit more with it. However, the Cessna Citation jet does not feature one thing, and that is auto throttle. We now will be doing a lot of hands-on with these bad boys down here today. Yes, a bit of manual throttle flying, which is always a bit of fun. Anyhow, let's program the aircraft. So, departure today is at Sierra Bravo Golf Romeo, SBGR. We'll take the coordinates there, plug it into the RS position, and then head over to performance, where we'll be running at a coordinates of 25 and a cruising altitude of 310. Right, next thing for me to do is now plug in the flight plan. Once again, sort out our departure, which is Sierra Bravo Golf Romeo, SBGR, and our arrival airport, which is Rio de Janeiro, Sierra Bravo Golf Lima, SBGL. So, flying to the main airport of Rio today, not the secondary, and so we'll have a chance to enjoy the scenery around that. We are going to come in via the north of the airport, as right now the active runway is 28, I believe, according to my information. Yes, it is. So I don't think we get too much of a view of the city. I don't think we'll be able to spot the Christ Redeemer statue, but we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for it as we do make our approach. Right, let's plug in our flight plan waypoints now. So starting off today with Romib, we fly direct to Akidi. Following that, we fly to Mebga. Then it's Kosru. Followed by Pi. Papa. There we go. It's going to be this one. Next page. After pi, it's then VACUB. And there. Actually, I should probably explain this as well. So, in terms of multiple waypoints of the same name, basically, just based on the coordinates alone, you get a basic idea of where they are and which one you need. So, this one's actually quite simple, because you can see that in terms of longitude, this one's north 42, while this one is south 22. So, we're in the southern hemisphere in Brazil, therefore it's obviously going to be this one, S22. But, yes, you can kind of just get from the coordinates where your current location is. Right, so activate that, head to the legs page. As you can see, it's got the airspeeds, it's got the flight levels. Let's set our departure. So current in use is 27 right, and we need the ROMIB to Charlie, so it's going to be that one. Check the flight panel again. It's now got all the speeds calculated as it should be, and that is our flight sorted as far as I need it right now. Right, quick look outside. We have got the pushback vehicle. We have got this guy over here. Sorry, this lady over here is going to bring the aircraft out and onto the taxiway. But I don't think we're going to use her service today, since, well, we're a tiny little jet aircraft, so we can turn the engines here on the spot and do a 180-degree turn without causing too much of a problem. So we've also got a guy over there who is monitoring the area. And I think that is what we shall do. So let's jump back into the cockpits. Let's turn on our beacon lights and strobes. And yeah, let's get ready for our engine startup, shall we? So in the Cessna Citation, it's a very simple process. What you're going to want to do is come down to the engine start switch. We'll start with the right-hand engine first, and we'll allow the starter motor to warm up, which, well, I can hear it from the outside a little bit easier. Likewise, the fan blades will start spinning, but you're listening out for the whine. Once the engine is stable, then starts the fuel flow. Allow the engine to start up. That sounds good to me. So, open the guards, start the fuel flow, close the guards. So it should then take just a few seconds for the engines to start up. While we wait, let's quickly set the altitude to 310. And also, let us turn on the flight director and the yaw dampener. Right, let's start up the engine number 1. So, left-hand starter. Clear the master caution there. We'll see our departure path now in action. So the yellow will be the SIDS. If I zoom out on the map, we'll be able to see the rest of the flights. Then follow the magenta line around, and then follow it into our arrival. So, not a difficult flight today. Airtime is about 40-45 minutes, although given that it is clear skies today, I can anticipate it being a little bit quicker than that. Engines on. Oh yes, and also since it's manual throttle operation, I'm probably going to have the throttle on a little bit higher than I need to, and therefore we're just going to shoot through the sky. It's a very nimble aircraft, the Citation jets. Very easy to control. So, we'll allow the engine number 1 to start up now, left-hand engine. And as far as I'm concerned, we are now ready for taxi and takeoff. Cool, let's turn off the starters, disengage those. Both engines are running, and so we are now ready for taxi. Turn on the taxi lights. We won't turn the pulse lights on until we turn the landing as well, just to keep those two together. We'll lower the flaps down to first setting. That'll be takeoff flaps. Whoops, actually don't need the yoke over there to disappear. So, for example, if you have got a desktop yoke in front of you, it's possible to make them hide, and therefore, if you prefer not to have the virtual on-screen one, you can just hide it and make it like it was never there. So, let's taxi, shall we? Parking brake comes off. A little bit of throttle. And immediately make a right-hand turn. And push for the taxiway. So, like I say, it's a nimble little aircraft, the Cessna Citation jets, and a very good one to get out of tight situations, get out of tight spots, and rather short runways in more remote parts of the world, making it a very capable business private traffic jet. Now, runway 27 right, it's a little bit of a journey from where we were parked. That stands 47, by the way. Yeah, a little bit of a journey to where we were parked. We do need to taxi to the other side of the airport, but I'm not anticipating too much in the way of traffic on the runways or taxiways, and we are not using ATC today, so once again, we'll just be flying on our own accord. In fact, flying without ATC, with the air traffic turned on, actually isn't that bad of a process. I mean, say you're flying without communicating, but you still want the airplanes to be around you, ATC will kind of automatically see that you aren't going to do a flight with them, and therefore, if there was going to be an aircraft that impedes your route, whether it be on the runway or landing where you're about to take off, it will automatically make those aircraft go around. It will essentially make aircraft just go around you, which is a nice way of doing things, and therefore try to avoid as many disasters as may be the case in the case of, well, like I say, an aircraft coming towards you near landing, potential collisions en route, all that kind of stuff. As I say, flight time today, not expecting too long, 40 minutes on the clock, although I'm anticipating pushing it out to around 30 with the clear weather today. Yeah, terminals here at São Paulo certainly don't look too bad compared to the real world counterparts. It's a nice rendition of the airports. Again, not perfect, none of the autogen airports are, but some of them certainly a lot closer to reality than others. I mean, Luton Airport's the first one I did a video at. That for me was almost spot on. It got all the terminal designs right, it got all the staircases down for the non-jet bridged gates all sorted as well. Luton Airport is in by default, rather nicely detailed. Right, I'm going to make a right-hand turn here and essentially enter the outbound traffic taxiway, usually the one that's closest towards the terminal, are reserved for inbound aircrafts. And then the next one across, that line over there, that is the runway itself, 27 right. Got to be very careful with the turning circle of these aircrafts. Not quite as, well, in the air it's nimble, but on the ground does have a little bit of a turning circle that you do need to pay close attention to. Yeah, another thing, I don't know if there are trees in between the taxiways in real life, but that should be down to the algorithms. Eventually we'll see this stuff ironed out, and once the third-party developers make their way into the simulator, then certainly things will be looking rather good. We did get a few senior developers making their announcements, so we have a Denver coming in at some point. Also got Vienna, and I know Drawyah designed the Polish airport kings, as well as Washington, New York and Moscow. Also have made their announcements for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so some exciting stuff coming on the way. It was on Wednesday that the developers were allowed to announce what they are currently in the works of. I mean, Polish Airports for me, Volume 1 is the big one I'm excited for, since that covers both Rzeszów and Lublin-Świdnik, two airports that I frequent myself. Well, Lublin not so much, but Rzeszów definitely. I try and fly there once, maybe twice a year, as I've got family in Poland. I'm half Polish myself, and so the detail in that scenery pack alone is going to be a day one groundbreaking buy for me. Vienna as well, I'll likely pick that one up, since I did the flights to Vienna earlier this year actually. I flew with Laudamotion from Stansted. Right, almost there. Looking at the windsock, winds are currently calm. Bring back the throttle now. And brakes. Perfect. Let's just do a quick visual check, make sure there's no aircraft currently en route for the runway. All clear on the left. All clear on the right. Let's bring our landing lights on, turn off taxi, bring on the pulsing lights as well. Flaps are down to takeoff, which is fine. A little bit of throttle in, and let's make our way to Rio. Engines up 50%, push the yoke down ever so slightly, just in case we do get a little bit of premature lift. Both engines are stable. Sets power to takeoff. Whoops, knocked over a glass bottle on my desk. Fortunately it was empty. It rotates at around 110. Rotates. Positive climb, gear up. Bring the throttle back to climb power. And there we have it. Welcome to São Paulo. And once again, just take in the detailing on the ground there. You've got every individual building, every house structure, you name it, it's there. And that is certainly also helped by the satellite imagery, which is streaming all of this data in. So we clear that alarm there. And likewise, also figure out autopilot now, since we're about to hit this initial turn. So AP comes on, navigation set, and flight level climb mode on. So what FLC does, it will hold the aircraft's airspeeds, depending on what you set it to. In this case, I'm going to bring it down to 250, and then it will adjust the aircraft's angle of attack in order to kind of sit where it is. So if we raise the flaps as well, just have the aircraft there without pitching it too far. And so let the aircraft climb at around 250 knots. We'll bring it up to cruise, and I'll try and push it around to 70, which will quite nicely then take us to Rio. So system will slowly adjust the angle of attack. We've passed now through 10,000, so landing lights can come off. And well, as far as I'm now concerned, I've now done my job until it hits the cruising altitude, where I then bring the throttle back a slight bit. And so while we climb over this mega city below us, chance again to just kind of take in all that's going on below us. So if we look out to the scenery beyond, you can just see how far the city stretches, well above the horizon. It stretches out almost to the Atlantic Ocean, even not Pacific, almost the Atlantic. There's a little bit of rainforest between the edge and the water. Leading to the left-hand side, it just goes on for miles in that direction. It can take you a full day to travel from one end of the city to the other. And well, yeah, like I say, by far the biggest city in all of Brazil. Brasilia, the capital, about half the size in terms of population and distance. And well, Rio is tiny compared to this. Now, there's a football stadium just there. Football being the big sport here in Brazil. Some very fierce rivalries between cities just over the sports. I mean, I'm a football fan myself, I'm a Chelsea fan. But yeah, I can see, especially in other countries, why things start getting very tense. I mean, Brazil's not the richest country in the world by far. But sport is one thing that unifies everyone, from the people at the top of society right down to those living in the favelas. Football is what brings them together, especially international games. The whole country is all together when it comes to football games. At some point I really do need to visit this country. I do know one guy who's Brazilian. Well, he's American, he was born in America, but his mother is Brazilian, and he spent the young years of his life living here as well. Although I believe they do hail from Brasilia. But you never know. Perhaps I'll meet him in here one day. So far so good. Now passing around 25,000 feet, flight level 250. Aircraft's holding the aircraft at around 8 degrees pitch. Not long now until we hit our cruise. In terms of stability, there may be a few moments where things start to stutter a little bit. That's usually down to the CPU. So in fact, if I just quickly pop up the performance options there. So right now my CPU is bouncing around 55-60%, so I'm jumping up to 70. GPU is at solid 80%, RAM is at 68%, and right now solid 29 frames per second, so things are running nice and smooth. In the benchmark video I did show that my sim was going up to 50, however on that clip certainly there's a little bit of stuttering there, so whenever I'm recording I do limit the simulator down to 30 FPS, as Bandicam right now is recording natively 30, and YouTube is also natively streaming in 30, so in order for you guys to have a better experience watching, it's nice to kind of just limit things a little bit and kind of make it all match up. Because, well, the last thing I want is for the stream to be stuttering, because if I was recording at 60 FPS, then I would upload in 60, of course, but if I was to break it down to 30, it's nice and easy, you just take half frames away. 50 on the other hand doesn't quite go into 30 so well, and so when I do render the video later on, just kind of cut out the beginning loading screen as well as cut at the end where I want to. It's just nice to bounce it out at 30 as well. Alright, so we have now reached our cruising altitude of 310. Just bring the throttle back slightly to our cruise power. So that should then hold the aircraft at around, well, in this case around 290. Throttle back a tiny bit more since the aircraft speed is still increasing. Okay, that should do us for now. It should keep us going now until we hit our top of descent. As I said initially, once we get to Mebga, we'll do a descent at 2,500 feet per minute. That'll carry us to Pi. We'll then do a check on our attitude and see if we need to adjust that in any way before we reach VACUB. And then the star, which at the moment will be a VACUB to Alpha for runway 28 at Rio. And well, during the star, we'll then at some point switch over to manual and fly the aircraft the rest of the way in. It's a very sleek little thing, the Citation jets, and so shouldn't do us too bad in terms of flight performance. In terms of flight dynamics especially, without a doubt the best tuned jet aircraft in the sim. The A320 is certainly need a fair bit of work, especially during the landing phase of the flight. The 747 is not too bad. It's certainly heavier, you do feel it when you're in the sim. So flying that's not too bad. At some point I'll do a video in it as well. Just a case of what route I pick, because I don't want it to be too long. But at the same time, with 747, you don't want to give it a fair amount of distance, kind of push it to its limits. So at some point I will make a decision on what we're going to do in that. But for now, Citation jets are both rather good for long distance as well as the shorter flights as well. Again, the satellite stream status below, certainly looking good. A little bit of distortion, that's caused by altitude. I can't remember the exact term of what it is, but basically the higher you are, the higher up you are, the haze kind of distorts the ground a little bit, and so as you see it's also a little bit of a blue haze on the scenery as well. That's one of the numerous natural effects that the simulator does take into account. Also a city just there to the left hand side of the aircraft. Also, is that another airport? Yes, yes it is, just there. Yeah, certainly at the moment on the outskirts of the Amazon rainforest. Go to the FMS, let's see our progression. So far so good. Ah, okay, so see the airspeed, it's the airspeed that's messed up there, so 285.0156562969376 is the very precise airspeed of what our aircraft should be at that moment in time. That would be the Romib waypoints. Yeah, we'll just leave that be. So, very almost nearly leaving the SID. At this point, we'll then make a break for the left, start heading towards the northwest. And then the Mebga point is when we start making a right-hand turn. So when the aircraft makes its right, that's when we start to go down. Otherwise, so far so good. The aircraft's performing rather well for us at the moment. Oh yes, also remember, the airport at Rio de Janeiro is one of the handcrafted airports that will also be included in the standard build of the game, so it does mean that during this flight we do get a chance to take a look at the hands-built airport for the simulator, which will be a lot of fun. I mean, at the moment with the beta preview, we've basically got access to all the content that we'll see in the standard games. That's what the standard aircraft, all the standard airports, as well as the base game itself. None of the premium, none of the premium deluxe. So for example, the 787, which is an aircraft I had a fair few requests for, Unfortunately, I do not have 787, not at this stage at least. I've also been asked to showcase Heathrow, and the one reason why I won't do Heathrow is because that's the standard edition Heathrow and not the premium deluxe, so I kind of want to show it, but at the same time I don't want to show it at the same time either. I'd much rather wait until we have all the fancy stuff, or in my case when I do get the game on release, than dive straight in. And again, I want to show you guys the best of what Microsoft Flight Simulator has to offer. My system spec's not special. I did a video on that on Wednesday, showcasing my GTX 1660 as well as the 16 gigs of RAM and i7-6700 processor, so not the newest bit of kits, especially the processor's now a couple of generations out, but even then, still runs the simulator like a charm. Once again, something to be very careful about. I don't want to accidentally leave the control in place, and therefore start kicking the airplane around. So at the moment I'm now on aircraft control. I'm now kicking the rod a little bit. There's a bit of shaking. Press C, switches to drone cam mode, and therefore I am now just controlling the drone cam and nothing else. Some of my earlier flights I have caused the aircraft to spiral out of control, because I just input too much rudder all of a sudden, and basically everything that could go wrong went wrong, and caused the aircraft to take a dive, to say the least. So yeah, I'm being very careful now in drone cam, just in case I am currently in airplane mode and not camera mode. Flying past some high altitude cloud there. Tiny little thing, almost ghost-like, but hey. Have a look at the interior of the aircraft, shall we? Unfortunately, we can't quite go inside the cabin. There's an invisible wall that stops us, but doesn't mean we can't have a chance to kind of just snoop around and see what it has. So we've got some very plush seats. Got a few cabinets on the left and right. So we've got a storage section to the back as well. No toilet. Seat there, and a little table as well. In fact, there is one way you can go into the interior, and that is with, well, drone cam. There we go. So, at the back we've got a bench stroke table. There's going to be a dedicated table. And yeah, the interior as is. The one downside to drone cam, you can't preset camera viewpoints with it. So, with the pilot camera, just like an X-plane, you can move the camera around, you can save a position, and therefore you can jump straight into it whenever you want to. Drone cam is just an independent camera, you can't do such with it. So I do hope at some point we'll have like a dedicated window view, but as it stands, that's not something we're going to get. There we go, first few mountains for us to fly over in a moment. And one thing else I want to point out with the scenery as well in Brazil, and something that Simulator does well in recreating, look at the hills and the mesh, you can see where like it's just straight lines. Straight lines, straight lines, straight lines, one after the other, where I have all the different rolling hills. And so the Simulator ground mesh has done a fantastic job at recreating that alongside satellite imagery, and it truly is, without a doubt, the most phenomenal flight simulator I have ever had the experience of flying. The scenery is fantastic, the aircraft look amazing. Okay, systems-wise, some of them may not be there yet, I'll be completely honest with you guys, but it truly has been a phenomenal experience, and I really cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on the simulator on the 18th. Not long to go now, it's out next Tuesday. And I must say, again, it's been absolutely phenomenal the amount of support you guys have showed me since the beta preview came out. And just watching the growth on the channel has been completely groundbreaking. I did not expect it to hit this much. That's what? 300,000 views in the last week. 300,000 people watching my content of the new simulator. It's like a year ago, or even 2 weeks ago, I could not comprehend that. Seriously, it's just wow. And so I do thank you guys so much for the support you have shown. And I do hope that once the simulator does release, some of you guys do stick around for the live streams, stick around for other videos. You never know, some people who may be also showing an interest with trains. Train Sim Worlds 2 even comes out on the 20th of August, sorry. So you have the Flight Sim on Tuesday, the Train Sim on Thursday. Again, that is going to be a very busy week for me in terms of producing content. Especially because the Train Sim World sim will include the Bakerloo line, which is a local route to me. And therefore, time for me to share some of my local knowledge for that as well. But again, you guys have been truly phenomenal with the amount of support you've showed me. I do thank you very much for being a part of my journey. The aircraft's just adjusting the flight path there, keeping it in line with the flight plan. So that's the one thing to notice, the aircraft's not bobbing around like the A320, it's a lot more stable, a little bit bumping, but that is almost certainly down to well, turbulence rather than the aircraft messing up. Yeah, the Citation jet, by far the best of the jet aircraft in the simulator at the moment, followed by the 747, followed by the 320. And so, hopefully, when PMDG release their 737 in Q1 of 2021, once again things will start to, well, peak with quality, because the 73 will be a fantastic aircraft, the NG3. I've used the PMDG back in FSX, I've used the NGXU in P3D, and so I know what their products are like in terms of quality, and hopefully that'll be something that carries on with the new generation of simulators. Also, I believe there was an F4 Tomcat announced for Flight Simulator as well. Also a Bush aircraft, kind of like the Piper Cub, but I can't quite remember the actual aircraft type. So, oh yeah, also there's a glider coming as well. The glider's also been announced as an add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's a lot of aircraft coming in now from the third parties, ever since the silence on that was lifted on Wednesday. And so I'm definitely one keeping an eye out on the feeds right now for anything else and new that's coming out soon. There you go, another view of the rolling hills, where it's kind of just flat, straight lines, parallel from one another, that follow the hills down. Climate here in Brazil really is something special. It's all tropical, you've got the rainforests, you've got everything from mountains to flat plains. There's just so much going on here at the moment. And also so vast as well. Looking in front of us, there's just nothing apart from trees, nothing apart from fields. Maybe the odd river here and there, just in that curving around just down there. Let's head to the FMS. Let's start looking at our arrival plan. So it'll be runway 28. I presume that'll be the XYZ, X-Ray Yankee Zulu. So we'll go for 28, the lower one. Transition of Ketux. Let's see how that affects our flight plan, shall we? Yeah, that was good to me. So Mebgut, down to Kosoru, down to Vakub, follow the yellow line around, that'll be the start, and that follows the flight plan to the runway. Yep, I'm happy with that. So let's us acknowledge it and lock that in. So that's our star now sorted. That's our approach in for runway 28. And so we'll start our descent, we'll start to follow that path down. The waypoint MEBGA is now coming up to the aircraft, so I'm just watching that slowly come towards the airplane now. And therefore should soon be ready to start bringing the aircraft in for its landing phase. We're 20 odd minutes into this flight now, 22 minutes since rotates. Another 20 odd minutes until we touch down, so yeah, currently on time for our 40-minute flights. And so I do need to remember that at Rio, landing on runway 28, probably try and use a bit more of the runway than usual and leave it late, and that way we can then be a little bit closer to the terminal section. As the airport's split into two sides, you've got the terminal and main runways, and you've also got that, well, you've got like a nature reserve in the middle, and then beyond the nature reserve, you've then got the third runway. Right, so let's set the altitude to around 10,000. Set the vertical speeds. And actually I said 2,500. Let's push it at 2,000 initially, and then increase it just a little bit. We'll bring the throttle back all the way now, since I am watching that increase up to the red at this point. So cut the throttle back, let the aircraft descend, and we'll start to monitor the approach into Rio now. There you go, a little bit of throttling as well, just to keep the aircraft at a stable speed. It's 260 knots, so yeah, perfect. Also means that when we get to around 10,000 feet, bring the throttle back, it's a small drop down to 250, and then continuing from there. One of the things for us to keep an eye out for as well at Rio, well, it's a very curved airport, so you have two terminals, you have the international, you have the domestics, and well, it's a curved shape for both of them. The aircraft stick on the outsides, and on the far side you've got these massive lights poles with floodlights on top of them which light up the airport at night, and well, prop aircraft and private traffic generally sticks to that side of the airport, so we'll be keeping the aircraft to the right hand side during our taxi. So again, a little bit of stuttering there. And I can imagine that's now starting to load in the city. So Rio is just over there. In fact, I've just now got the airport in sight as well. We're actually now quite close to it, so let's actually increase our descent rate a little bit. We'll bring it down to 2,500. In fact, let's bring it down to 3,000. There we go, 5 degrees pitch down, should be fine. Throstle's also been low as well to counteract for that. And that should be fine now for us to bring it in. So, those mountains just ahead of us there. So when we pass those, we'll start to make our right hand turn and start aligning the runway. Coming in over the bay, so we'll be over the water for the final. And the wind is causing a little bit of the drift there on the autopilot. So the aircraft will make some small turns, small adjustments, just to keep the aircraft flying straight. Also, the one of the neat features of this aircraft, the Glideslope Indicator, just this one here, also is fully functional. So you'll be able to see the lights on that adjust, whether a bit too high, a bit too low, or the green circle in the middle, telling us you're bang on. And so, as well as that, we'll also be following the, follow the flight director, follow the magenta diamonds. But again, that's just one of those little cool features that the developers have included as part of this aircraft. The Citation wasn't actually in the alpha, it was added to the simulator during the beta stage, and well, it has been well received, that's for sure. I'm actually quite surprised not too many people have featured it at the moment as part of their beta preview access, because for me personally it's the most fun you're going to have in a jet aircraft in the simulator at the moment. I mean, the A320 is cool because it's an A320, the 747 is great because it's the queen of the skies, but the Cessna Citation jet, this is spot on. Right, passing through 17,000 now, 170. We've got a little bit of heat burn coming out of the engine there. And quite nicely done too. As much as I love X-Plane, the heat burn effect is certainly exaggerated. It doesn't look anything like what you get in like a photo of an aircraft. But it shows that this one again, perhaps a little bit of exaggeration, but certainly a cool effect to have. Perhaps it's one of those things where it's worth making it a little bit on the high ends, just to kind of show that, yes, that feature's here, we are simulating it, and so let's make it a little more obvious for you. Just looking down at the rainforest below, each individual tree you can see simulated, pinpointed down below. Truly is phenomenal. And even just the haze as well, the haze. So it's obviously a rainforest, it's going to be raining quite damp down below, and it kind of just shows that as well, with its lighting effects. There's so much the simulator does, so many small fine details. I mean, okay, right now it's jumping around a little bit as it's loading in the higher details, but just those finer details it has. The aircraft jumps around now because of the air disruption around the hills, so you've got a few updrafts now. And again, it has that, it simulates that, it's there. There's so much that the simulator has, which is phenomenal. We're about to pass through 11,000 now, so we'll decrease our descent rate. Do 500 feet per minute for now. And run this down to about 3,000. Be very careful as well with that. So eventually it will jump from around 100 integrations down to 1,000 when you do start scrolling it for long enough. So while it's nice to have, it's one of those things that you do need to be a little bit careful for when it comes to adjusting. Put a little bit of throttle in, since we are now below 250 knots. Also just about to pass through 10,000, so turn on the landing lights again. 10,400. There we go. Our first look at Rio de Janeiro. Is it Janeiro or Janeiro? I should also check that as well. Rio de Janeiro or Rio de Janeiro? I mean, the language in Brazil is Portuguese, not Spanish, I think. And so it will have some of the European influences, and therefore, well, especially in Eastern Europe, it's going to be Janeiro. I'm not quite sure about Spanish or Portuguese and what they would use it pronunciation-wise. So turbulence getting a little more severe now, since we are pushing it right close to that mountain just to our left-hand sides. In just a moment, make our right-hand turn towards the runway. Landing lights on. A little more throttle in now, since we are still losing a little bit of airspeed. Because the faster we are, the better we'll also be able to combat the turbulence. Therefore, just kind of minimise some of this shaking. I mean, already you can see the effects come into play. More power, more speeds. Now just forcing the aircraft through the air at the moment. Not quite as comprehensive as Blade Element Theory, the flight dynamics, but I'd say on par now with what you get in DCS World. So data tables for reference in terms of aircraft capabilities, but then calculations also in place to well, calculate what the airflow would be around the aircraft in a certain point. Still at 9,000, so we'll push now down to 1,000 feet per minute. Let's do 1,500 at this stage. Lower the throttle again, just bring it back below 250. Since we've gone a little bit too fast there. There you go, so both magenta lines are now visible. We'll be following that on the glide path. We've also got the display over here to watch as well. the weather being as clear as it is, means I've also got the full capabilities for a visual approach. So, slow now, we make this right-hand turn. Between these two waypoints here, the aircraft should then straighten out and take us straight into a path heading towards the runway. 2000, I think we'll set the aircraft in manual controls, so we'll lower the altitude now to 2000. At that point, we'll switch off the autopilot and do the rest by hand. It's bumped out now to 1,500, since we are a little bit high there on the glide slope. Let's do 2,000 for a short moment. Throttle back. In a couple of moments we'll do the flaps and gear, since the aircraft will call for gear on the first stage of flaps. Idle throttle just to support the airplane's slowdown. Where's the cockpit view? Lost it, there you go. The moment you start messing around with the tail cam, drone cam and external cam, I don't know, sometimes I get a little bit confused and actually lose everything. Right. Autopilot disengaged. Get it down. Bit of throttle in, just keep the airspeed up. And there we go, around 160 knots, which is perfect for us. The second stage of flaps. There we go. Keep the aircraft stable, there's a little bit of turbulence, but nothing too bad. So currently just a bit above the glide slope there, so again, cut back on the throttle and pitch the nose down slightly just to catch up with that. You must remember that we are such a small aircraft, and therefore the wind will start to play an effect on how we're going to keep the aircraft stable. A little bit low there, but not too bad, according to the thing on the right. We are committed. Idle throttle. And touchdown. Reverse thrust sets. $80 knots. 60 knots. Reverse thrust cuts. And so like I say, we'll use the maximum amount of the runway available to us. And the next departure point to the left, we'll then leave the runway, clear the aircraft up, and taxi over to the stands. Not gates, we're not commercial. Stands for us. There we go, that shall do. Right. Flaps up. Taxi lights set. Turn off the pulse lights. And again, we'll let the aircraft's momentum start to slow down before we start using the throttle to keep the aircraft around 20 knots for taxi. But yeah, overall, that was a one of good flights. I certainly enjoyed it. Hope you guys have as well. I do hope that this guys gives you also a little bit of an idea of what, well, first of all, what South American scenery looks like around Brazil, and also what some of the more rural areas look like as well. I mean, I can imagine that for parts of the rainforest or parts of rural Brazil where there's nothing there, the satellite image data is going to be much lower quality because, well, whoever's taken the satellite images won't want individual pictures of trees from 200,000 feet, so certainly it's going to be a little bit low resolution. Therefore, the way this image kind of counteracts that and provides you a high quality scene throughout, it's just cool. It really is. The Asobo guys have done a phenomenal job at creating this world, and yeah, they deserve every bit of credit they get just because of how great this all looks. Right, we'll hit the brakes now, so I'm just going to start entering the main bit of the airport. If I recall correctly, there is a bridge that we do need to cross with the main road heading to the airport underneath. So we'll see how that one's been dealt with as well. So for example, in Athens it was just flat terrain, but here, let's have a closer look. Ooh, I think they've actually done it, have they? Don't forget, drone camera's giving me external camera control, but yeah, they have done it. That is a road heading underneath our taxiway. Very nicely done. That's come a little bit of a cost there. The taxiway is now a bit of a ramp, so we need to put a little bit of power in just to climb that. I think our nose even jumps there. Whoops. And there you go. Welcome to the main terminal here at Rio. And the giant floodlight plinths that surround it on the outside. So once we park up at stand, we'll spend a moment just looking at the airport here and seeing what other details they've included. Be very careful for the ground vehicles, since they will impede your taxi. Thank you very much. And so you've got two A320 Neos there standing on the other side, presumably again those in storage. On the terminal side there are a couple of aircraft parks. We've got two A330s. We've got a couple of airplanes in the distance over there. But yeah, it's like the airports here in Brazil actually are pretty full in terms of capacity. Got quite a lot of traffic going on in them right now. So parks to the right hand side. We'll go stop in the next available parking area, which looks like here. So right hand turn. As long as we're clear of the red line, it just means that we're then clear of the taxiway. Also straighten the aircraft out just tiny bits. Parking brake, sorry, brake sets, parking brake sets, clear the alarm, and yeah, engines shut down, tax lights off, beacon and strobes off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rio. Where did that bus come from? What's going on there? Oh my word, it's cruising on top of the light poles. That van's just yeeted on the ground there. Okay, the paths are in a little bit of work. Oh my word. Like, even that's obviously a bug. There's a fault with the simulator that at some point it needs to iron out. But it's just so hilarious that I can't complain. That's made my day right there. Oh, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Never change. Never change with your quirks. Right, let's have a look at the terminal, shall we? See two moon-shaped terminals there, two crescent-shaped terminals. Aircraft park on the outside. So there's actually a third terminal over there that's a bit more standardised. A couple of A380s parked outside, including the all-new United Airlines A380. Didn't realise they actually was a couple of them. I think in the case of United Airlines, they are like the testing livery for real-world aircrafts, since at the moment they seem to be the only airline that we have been able to spot. You've got the city of Rio just appearing then over the horizon, so there'll be a bit of water between us and the airport, as the airport here is actually on an island, so you see water on that side, and that just surrounds the airport on all sides, apart from where that roads tunnel was. But yeah, it's a nicely detailed airport, this. As part of the, well, the premium hand-built stuff. Wow, certainly nice, certainly looking nice, that's for sure. Just, so long the vehicles are making a little more sense. For example, that guy. Yeah, he's obviously taken a bit more of a straightforward path there, and not one that doesn't require him to climb every single light pole in the airport. Anyhow, yeah, I think that's going to be that for today. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the Cessna Citation jet as well. By far the best of the jet aircraft in the simulator right now, and it really does show. So, yeah. Take care, enjoy your weekends. Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to try and get 2 videos out like I did last weekend, so one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And we'll see how all that slips into play. So, enjoy your weekend, guys. Thank you very much for the support you've shown me over the last couple of days. And I shall see you again in the very near future. Take care, and bye-bye.